Kinah b'chiyah B'tzion U'mispein
Hi, I'm Margalit Frydman. I'm a tour guide and I live right here in Modi'in. Welcome to El Umdan. El Umdan, I'm about to join an ancient path, an ancient road that was here from the days of Second Temple period all the way to the Bar Kokhba revolt. Come join me, let's see what they found. We are in the courtyard of one of the most ancient synagogues in the world, if not the oldest. The place is known as El Umdan, Mother of the Pillars. Over here in the 1870s, Kinot comes by and finds many, many pillars, which since then have been stolen, taken who knows where. And he understands there's something important here. As the years go by, other people notice the place, and it even is mentioned in the very important PF map that the British did at the end of the 19th century. But our real chance to dig here was when New Modi'in was built, when the Buchma neighborhood that some of you know was built. And they wanted to build a road that would connect straight here to the Hashmonaim Boulevard. And then we hit the jackpot. Let's go see what they found. Eicha Yashvah חבצלת השרון, ודמם רון מפי נושאי ארון, ונעו ממשמורתם כהנים בני אהרון, כנמסר הבית במסרבי מרון. I just started one of the Kinot, the piyutim, that were written by Elazar Kalir, most probably in Tiberias, where we have a list of the 24 families of Kohanim, each one in a different place in the Galil. I just ended up Mesarvei Maron, Meron, you all know Meron. And actually, maybe we should have been doing this video, jumping from place to place in the Galil, from Tveria to Tzipori, to Arabe, to Mrar. All these are places where the 24 families of Kohanim settled after the destruction of the Second Temple. We're sitting here in what's maybe the oldest synagogue in the world. A synagogue that was built yet in the days pre-Hasmonean, Hashmonaim, was renovated a few times as the hundreds of years go by. And what we're sitting in here now is from the last stage of the synagogue, built maybe in the days of King Herod, destroyed partially in the year 70, or maybe just a little bit before the years of the Second Temple destruction, the Great Rebellion against Rome. But the Jews didn't leave. They continued living here until the Bar Kokhba revolt. And then this was one of the places where they hid. We actually found here some of the hiding caves under the houses here, and the synagogue was destroyed. While digging here, they found coins from the days of Antiochus. Yes, the same Antiochus as Hanukkah, but also from the year 2 and 3 of the Great Rebellion, and even from the second year of the Bar Kokhba revolt. Let's look a second at this place and try to think where we are. We can see that there are pillars here. There were pillars here. Can you see the bases? 1, 2, 3, 4, and some on your side. We can see the direction of praying towards Jerusalem. And here in the middle, I don't know if you can see, there's a group of stones. Maybe this is where the bima was. We find a bima in the Galil, in a place also destroyed in this great rebellion, in Migdal, and maybe that's what was left here. El Umdan, mother of the pillars. Is it just named for the pillars that Kinot found here? Or maybe we're keeping the ancient Hebrew name Modi'in, Umdan Modi'in. Alexander On Zichrono Livracha and Shulamit Wexler Bdolach, Shetibadel Chaim Arukim, the archaeologists that dug here in this salvage dig in the year 2000, think that we are sitting right now in ancient Modi'in. Modi'in of Chanukah, Modi'in of the brave Maccabees, Judah Maccabee and his brothers, and of course, their father. And we hear that Bet Hashmonai, that Matityahu, the father of the family, is from one of those 24 Kohanite families that I mentioned before. He is from the family of Yehoyariv. He is from actually the family that opens the yearly cycle of the Kohanite families. If this is true, this is where Hanukkah started. But now it's Tisha B'Av. And Yehoyariv family, as one of the 24 families of Kohanim, had 2 weeks a year where they would go up and it would be their time to work in Beit HaMikdash. If we do the math, 24 times 2 is 48. There are a few extra weeks over there. We're talking about the major holidays, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, where all the Kohanim could join. But Yehoyariv, the family of the Hashmonaim, were the ones that were the first to open up in the year. What an honor, how wonderful. They were also those that were in Beit HaMikdash on Tisha B'Av. I'm reading from the Talmud Yerushalmi that was written in Tiberias from Ta'anit 24, Tanei. Rabbi Yosei Omer, Yom Shecharav Beit HaMikdash, Haya Motzei Shabbat, like this year, Umotzei Shmita, Umishmarto Shel Yehoyariv B'Tisha B'Av. Amar Rabbi Levi, Yehoyariv Gavra Meron, Karta Mesarvei, Ya Hariv Im Banav, Al Shemaru Veservu. I started off by reading you about Yehoyariv. Their name was not mentioned, but Meron was mentioned as Mesoravei Meron. Is Rabbi Elazar HaKalir finding fault in these Kohanite families? Is Rabbi Elazar HaKalir mentioning that Mesarvei Meron are the ones that maybe opposed God or were against the people and therefore the temple was destroyed? Just want to tell you something interesting. In the Byzantine period, there's a man called Hieronymus who's translating the book of Maccabees. You know the book of Maccabees. Tells us the story of Hanukkah, so on and so forth. And most probably, he names it the book of the Maccabees, but in the 11th century, we find a handwritten book, and the name there is Sefer Bet Sarvanei El. Sefer HaSarvanut Shel HaMaccabim. In translation, basically, the Maccabees' book of standing up against the Greeks. So are Mesoravei Meron the same family of Yehoyariv? Does this prove this a little bit more? Maybe. Why do they say that the Yehoyariv family were there at the day of destruction. Maybe it's the historical truth. Or maybe we're thinking a little bit to the amazing family that got up here from this spot, fought the Greeks, but after a few generations, things changed. The Hasmonean kings, we know that Chazal relates to some of them as big problem makers, to put it mildly. Maybe they lost their touch. Maybe the Kohanim at the end of Second Temple period lost what they were supposed to do. Kohanim are supposed to be the ones working, sacrificing, lighting the menorah in the temple, but more than that, they're supposed to be the connection between the people of Israel and Hashem. But yet we know that at the end of Second Temple period, that is when the Kohanim lose it. The high priesthood is bought with money. The Kohanim go over to the weak people and more or less forcibly take their trumot and masrot. Somehow, maybe that is what brought the Churban. I just entered one of the hundreds or even thousands of mikvahs, ritual baths, found from Second Temple period, maybe even till the Bar Kokhba revolt. This mikveh is a small mikveh next to the synagogue. As you know, anything connected to the temple had to be with utmost purity. Modi'in had a special place. Its geographical place was the border between Judea and the rest of the pagan world, if you'd like. This is considered Mahalach Yom Echad Mirushalayim, 1 day's walk from Jerusalem. Don't try it. There are Mishnahs talking about Modi'in. One of them is what is considered a faraway. Passover Eve, you have to get to Beit HaMikdash to sacrifice the Paschal lamb. What's considered a faraway? And there it says, Mina Modi'in Velachutz. That's considered a faraway. Mina Modi'in Velifnim. That's already part of the Jerusalem boundaries. So anyone coming here with 1 foot outside and 1 foot inside would have to think if they can still make it up to Jerusalem by afternoon or not. Another mentioning, and this really is connected to the idea that this is a city of priests, of Kohanim, is that if you make here dishes, if you make ceramic dishes, pottery, it's considered pure. Mina modi'in velifnim tahor, pure. If we're outside, we don't know who made it. Is this also a place where Kohanim made the pottery? We didn't find anything connected to that yet, but we do know that they made wine over here, and the wine for sure was brought up to the temple to be used in the Nesachim. Again, something that we lost when the Second Temple was destroyed. The 24 families of Kohanim left Judea, left Yehuda, and fled to the Galil. There they settled in separate communities. Each community, and that's mentioned in Eicha, Yashvah, Chavatzelet HaSharon, there was one family. And these families knew when their weeks are for hundreds and hundreds of years. They kept a high level of purity. When we go to Tzipori, we find mikvahs such as this under people's homes until the 3rd century or even later, Common Era. Up to the level that the Kohanim of each Mishmeret knew that during their 2 weeks, they're not supposed to drink wine. Because who knows, maybe the temple will be rebuilt and you're not allowed to work when you're drunk. In a few places in Israel, Caesarea, near Ashkelon, and even in Yemen, they found lists in synagogues of these 24 families of Kinah. And that goes on hundreds and hundreds of years after the destruction. The strength of these Kohanite families, the yearn that the temple will be rebuilt again, we find in keeping this very high level of purity, in knowing the names of the places, in knowing who you belong to. At one point, maybe when the Crusaders came, this more or less disappeared. But it would be interesting if we could do analysis and find out again who belonged to whom. In this destroyed synagogue, the place where the family of the Yoyariv Kohanim had to flee, had to leave to the Galil, every year on Hanukkah, there's a big Kabbalat Shabbat here. The place is so packed that we overflow in all directions. People sometimes come especially to celebrate Shabbat here, to be able to come and pray at this ancient site. And Modi'in is alive again. There is hope.
Adonai b'chiyah b'tzion u'misper